Hi everyone, here's a quick video to get you ready for your Quest Next class. So let me just fix this really quickly. We'll write Quest Next class. It is 50 formal points because this unit is a lot shorter than the last one. So 50 formal points, and it'll be 15 multiple choice questions from Canvas. So what I want you to do for your warm-up today is to do the classwork Unit 7 review, Chapter 10 practice test in Sapling. It's linked in Canvas. And then once you've tried it, you can unpause this video to continue with the video solutions. Just skip around to the ones you need. They'll be pretty clear at the top, like number 1, like that, for which one I'm going over at the time. A couple of comments about your test next class. The best way to review is to do what you've been doing, your homework, warm-ups, notes, the AP Daily videos for Unit 7, personal progress checks for Unit 7, and then any tutoring sessions that are being offered. There's also an FRQ review, which even if you don't have FRQs on the test, it still covers a lot of the material. So I recommend that you work through that during the asynchronous portion of class today, or however that's working these days, and check the answers with the key linked in Canvas. So let's get started going over. Pause here to work on the classwork, and then when you're ready, you can come back to this video and unpause to look through some of the answers if you need help with it. All right, I'm going to start with number 1. So Anne claims store brand fertilizer works better than homemade compost. It's a soil enhancement. She plants 2 tomato plants in each of 5 planters. 1 plant in each planter is grown in soil with store brand fertilizer, and the other plant in that same planter is grown with the homemade compost. And then she harvests and weighs the tomatoes from each plant. So she has 1 planter with both types of soil in them, which makes this a paired. We want it to be paired. So I would look at this option, not this, this option, not this, and not this, because we can still determine which one. And then also, let's just go ahead and cross that off because it's always T for paired stuff. For means, it's always T. And so it's going to be paired T interval for the mean difference. Another way to tell, how do you know if it's going to be an interval or a test? So an interval estimates values. Remember, intervals are useful that they give us an estimate. And then a test tests a claim. And there were no tests. It said which is the correct interval, so obviously that one. But just in general, sometimes you have to choose, and that might be a test. So you're looking for the word estimate for interval or test a claim for a test. Number 2, the weights in pounds of 3 adult males are 160, 215, and 195. What is the standard error of the mean? Don't forget about your formula sheet. You'll clearly get to use that in any of your notes on your test. So we have standard error. Here is the mean. So I've already highlighted it in orange here. And so this row is for mean. This is for 2 means. The top box is for proportions. So it's just S over square root N. To find S, we'll just use the calculator. So let me pull that up. I'm going to go to Stat, Enter. I'm going to clear out. Actually, I'm just going to hit second plus 4, Enter to clear all the lists that I had been using earlier. And just go to L1 and type those values, 160, 215, and 195. And then you can go to Stat, Calc, Enter. Make sure if there's anything in there, you clear it out from the frequency like we've done. I've been using this for Unit 4. So clear that out if there's anything in there. And then we're looking for the S, 27.8388. So that's going to be, in this case, over the square root of 3. Our sample size is only 3. And so we just type that in the calculator. And we get 16.07. So standard error is just the S part. Margin of error would be multiplied by the critical value. So keep that separate in your mind. Number 3, you want to compute a 90% interval for the mean difference in height for mothers and their adult daughters using a random sample of 30 mothers who have an adult daughter. So we have 30 as our sample size. What critical value? And so if it's for the mean, then that's going to be T. So we're looking for T star. You have two options. You can use table B or you can use your calculator. I'll show you both. We need to know DF. It's n minus 1. And so if we look at table B, we'll just go to 29. Was it 90%? Yeah. So we'll just go to 29 on table B. I've written a lot of stuff on this list right here. See, I'll highlight in pink, I guess. And then 90. So where does 90 match up with 29? 1.699. That's a really quick way to do it. Oops. Or we can go to the calculator. Remember, we hit second vars 4. Oops, nope, I didn't forget to vars. Second vars 4. This is a 90% interval, so the area is 0.05. Remember, it's the area to the left, and our DF is 29. And I get 1.699. Always positive. The way I'm teaching it to you, you'll always get a negative, but we want it to stay always positive. So don't type in the negative there. All right, next question. Number 4. We want to construct a one sample t interval for population mean. We don't know the shape of the population. So which of the following would be inappropriate to construct the interval of an SRS from size 14? So remember, the approximately normal condition says first, the population is normal. If we don't know about that, then we move on to our sample size being at least 30 by the central limit theorem. If it's not at least 30, then we should have no strong skew or outliers in the sample data. So we're on to step 3 because we have unknown shape, so I can't do that. We have 14, so it's not at least 30, and so it has nothing to do with sample standard deviation. No strong skew or outliers in the stem plot would be great, so that's not a problem. A box plot shows the values above the median are much more variable than the values below. That's kind of strange. Let's come back to it. Slight skewness, it has to be strong, so no, not a problem, and we don't care about that. So this is the only one left, and what that's saying, I told you it was kind of weird, come back to it. What that's saying is just that there is a strong skew. So what they're describing to you is a box plot with like a really strong skew for that. Which is bad when you have a small sample size. Okay, let's look at number 5. A 90% confidence interval. The mean mu is found to be 90 plus or minus 30, which of the following could be the 95% confidence interval. So what they're really testing you here is that as your C level goes up, your margin of error should go up. That's what we learned. And that's directly tied to the fact that as the confidence goes up, look at this 50 to 60, 70, 80, 90, 95, 96, the critical values increase. And so that's why that happens. And so I do know that whatever it is, this will be larger than 30. So not 21, not the same. I would say 70 is like way too big. Just think about this. We have, if we were using Z-stars, which are fine, from 90 to 95 is 1.645 to 1.96. So it's not going to be over double. And so we have 39. It's the only one left. And yes, we can do it, so we can cross that one off. All right. Number 6. Got a lot of words. I'm not going to read them all to you because all they ask for is the standard error for a difference in population means. We can find that right here. Here is a difference in means. Here's a standard error. So it's the standard deviation squared over each sample size added together under a square root. So let's see if we can identify the right one. First of all, one thing I like to do on these is let's just cross off any that looks silly. Like there's no minuses. Let's see. And then here we have 4.9 and 3.8 compared to 5.8 and 4.2. So the standard deviation is 3.8 and 4.9, which means it's this one. So it's just a quick thing for you to identify, especially when you're just looking at something that's already filled in. Number 7. Few people enjoy melted ice cream, blah, blah, blah. Megan and Jackson. Okay, so Megan and Janice. All right, now when constructing a paired t-interval for a mean difference, which distribution should they check for the normal? So remember, the normal condition for paired, we only care about the differences. And so no and no, yes. So we don't care about the individual groups. We did this activity with goldfish. Remember, I didn't check the samples of each straw. I only checked the differences. And so that is that third choice. Number 8. Census Bureau, 90% confidence the median income was that. Which of the following is the most appropriate conclusion? So let's just read them all. We can be sure the median lies. No, we're never sure. It's a percent confidence, 90%. So we think it's in there 90%, blah, 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 but not sure. They got the result using a method that will capture the true median 90% of the time. That's an interpretation of the level, and it's a correct one. And so I like it. Let's read the rest. No, no, and no. So we don't like how this says sample, and this says sample, and so this is an actual correct interpretation, and that's why we like that choice. Don't forget about the flashcards. They still apply to this unit, so we still want you to make sure you know how to do all of those interpretations, and this is one of them that still sticks around. Number 9, right? Quiz gives a question n equals 9 from 2 normally distributed populations. Tom was able to use the t distribution and he used 9 degrees of freedom. And then Janelle used her calculator and got 16.87 degrees of freedom. Which of the following is true? So the 9 degrees of freedom is the conservative DF. And then this is the one from the calculator. More exact. The more exact one will always be larger than the conservative one. Why we call it conservative, though, is because it produces wider intervals. So if Tom used the conservative one, then Tom's interval should be wider. Now, you can check it. It does not have to be a whole number. Not the same width, and Janelle's is not wider. Now, let me show you how you can look at this and with the table. There's a lot of stuff you can do with this table. So notice that, let's just look at 95%. I have so much written on here, but you guys are smart. You can see it. Maybe I'll clear it all. Yeah, let's clear it. Okay, let's just check out this column. Notice, I want to do better. Notice what happens as the DF increases. 12.71, 4.303, 3.18, all the way down to the lowest possible values when DF is infinity, 1.96. And that happens for every column, for every percent confidence. So if he used a DF of 9 and she used 16 point something, so one of those, then she had a smaller critical value than him. And that means that she had a more narrow interval, a narrower interval, and his is wider. So that is the answer. Number 10, last one. Okay, so we have a drop-down choice here, the makers of a specialty brand, the mean volume is 7.98, and we have this interval 7.93 to 8.03. And so we're wondering, the makers of the specialty brand claim their mini bottles contain 8 ounces of water. So if I was to write that in the form of a null, I would write mu equals 8. And then we're wondering if that's true. So if I wrote an alternative, I'll write mu is not equal to 8. Now look at my interval. Is 8 in there? 8 is the question that we want to look at. So 0 is only for differences. I'm not looking at differences. This is one sample. 7.98 was the sample mean. Don't care. Now 8 is in the interval. So there is not evidence. Remember, 8 is a plausible value. Now we don't have evidence they're telling the truth either, because there are other values in the interval. It goes as low as 7.93, but it's plausible that it is 8, so we have no evidence against them at this point. All right. Well, I hope that was helpful and that you watched what you needed to watch. I want to add a couple things here about what's on your test. So make sure you do complete the FRQs as well as this and any other studying, because that will include a lot of these topics here. And those are on your test. This was really mostly, this chapter 10 practice test was all interval based. And your test includes something, your quest will include some significance tests for means as well. So make sure you do study that as well and attend any tutoring sessions like we talked about in the beginning of the video to get any help that you need before your quest next class. Thank you so much. I hope you guys have a great day. See you next time.